there, it's Alyssa, and it's like super sunny in here. It's also 1,000,000 degrees, so I'm probably going to be sweating like crazy, if you can even see me in the sun. Today I'm going to talk about book trailers. For a long time, trailers have been used to sell movies, whether it was ads that rolled before a movie that played in a movie theater, or if it was trailers that you saw on television as commercials. And then along came this thing called YouTube. I don't know, you might have heard of it. And of course, movie trailers appeared on YouTube, but other people realized that they could make trailers for their products, specifically authors. So authors started making book trailers, the same concept as movie trailers, although instead of using actual footage from the movie, since there was no movie and this was a book, they would have to use their own footage or creativity. A lot of trailers that are on YouTube are made by authors. Some authors are lucky enough to have publishers put money into making a trailer for them. Most authors are not going to have a publisher that's making a trailer for them because it does cost a lot of money to make one if you're doing it professionally, as a publisher will. But you can make one pretty inexpensively as an author. I made trailers for all 3 of the books that I have out, and I did them all myself on a very, very low budget. I don't think there's a single shred of evidence to suggest that trailers actually sell books, but like most of the promotion we do as authors, it's something we put out there and keep our fingers crossed and hope that somehow or other this thing that we're doing will lead to book sales. There are a lot of different ways you can go about making a trailer for a book. Definitely the easiest way to do it, and least expensive, I would say, and probably also least interesting, is to create a trailer that's nothing but a series of stock images that somehow relate to your book, interspersed with text or voiceover that gives a description of the book, a summary, jacket flap copy, whatever you want to do that will entice readers to want to read your book. Trailers shouldn't be too long for a book. I think the ideal length is probably about a minute. If you go too much over this, people have really short attention spans and they're not going to want to watch it unless it's a really, really riveting trailer, which it probably isn't going to be if you're doing it yourself. For my first book, Popular, I did what I would call a crowdsourced trailer. It was a step up from the using stock images sort of approach, in that I did get people to send me images of themselves holding up signs that said, "I am popular." Put a bunch of fun images together with some background music, which I bought. You can buy royalty-free music pretty inexpensively on the internet. Do not use a song that you don't have the rights to, because that's illegal. And then I had images of myself. I had written out brief sentences about the book, I guess, and on cards, which I flipped over one by one. In the cold, in the wind. That was a challenge. I had some help. My boyfriend helped me with filming, and we did have to do several takes to get it quite right. It totally wasn't perfect, but it was the best that we could do. I guess that kind of added to the homegrown nature of the trailer. My second book, Fiend Summer, I also had some help from my boyfriend, who also was my cinematographer. He was my cinematographer for all 3 of my trailers. A band that I knew, an indie band, actually friends of his, were generous enough to let me use their song for the trailers. I had set that book in the town that I lived in as a teenager, so we drove there and I drove around and he filmed stuff out the window. And that was the trailer. And that way we had like moving images, which I like for a trailer, as opposed to stock footage, like stock images, because that's kind of boring. If you're watching a video, you want actual movement, as opposed to someone sitting in a chair in her office in a hot, hot summer day who's barely moving. But you get the idea.
Driving
my third trailer, again, I had my boyfriend be the cinematographer. We went to the cemetery here in town because there's a scene in my book, Shallow Pond, that took place in a cemetery. I pretended to be a teenage girl. You know, I had my hoodie on and we didn't show me from the front or anything like that, so hopefully I looked enough like a teenage girl. We just filmed me walking through the cemetery, which sounds pretty boring, and then I had voiceover reading a passage from the book. I had a vague idea of where her grave was, but I couldn't remember for sure. I can't tell you, again, if any of them were that effective. You know, people watched them. I don't know if that means that people read the book because they watched the trailer and went out and bought the book because they watched the trailer. I really have no idea. If you write for children or young adults, I've heard from teachers that sometimes they use and incorporate book trailers into their lessons or into their research for their students. You know, librarians and even teachers too will use it to do like book talks. The one thing to keep in mind with that too, if you write for children and young adults, is that many schools actually block YouTube on the school computers because they have to be careful about what they're showing kids, and it's hard to control what they watch on YouTube. Not every video on YouTube is as wholesome and informative as Awkward Author. So if your video is only available on YouTube, schools might not be able to watch it. Now, if you're writing for teens, they probably have a smartphone and can pull up YouTube and watch a book trailer, no problem. But as far as, you know, kids being able to watch it on the school computers, there is a site called TeacherTube. If you are writing for kids or young adults and you put out a book trailer, you do want to try and upload it there as well. So how effective are book trailers as a book promotion strategy? Well, the jury's still out on that. But they are kind of fun to make. It is a different way of promoting your book. Who knows, you might create a book trailer that goes viral. We could only hope, right? My name is Alyssa Grasso, and obviously I'm an author. I put out new Awkward Author videos every week. I do try to be wholesome and informative. If you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or leave a comment below. And so here's my question this week. Have you ever been inspired to read or purchase a book after watching a book trailer? If so, why don't you leave a comment below? And if not, leave a comment below. Either way,